What I would have done different, I probably just probably taught them off camera. You feel me? That's probably what I would have done different. You know, of course I'm gonna speak my mind and tell me what and say what I need, what I see out there. But you know, it what it is. Football, man. Just me and Shadur are good.
Cameras captured a sideline encounter between you and Jerry.
Yeah, we resolved that. We're not gonna speak on that.
If you guys were cool with each other then.
Yeah. I would hope so.
Got a block from Judkins. Got a block from Robinson going deep. Oh, and he had Jeudy.
The air on the Cleveland sideline was thick with the acrid smell of defeat and frustration, a familiar cocktail for a fan base that has learned to swallow disappointment as a bitter annual tradition. But on this particular Sunday, something else was brewing beneath the surface of another loss, a tension so palpable it seemed to crackle in the cold November air, waiting for a single spark to ignite it. That spark arrived not in the form of a missed tackle or a controversial flag, but in the form of a veteran wide receiver, his face a mask of misplaced anger, striding with purpose toward a rookie quarterback who stood as an island of unsettling calm amidst the chaos. Jerry Judy, the $52 million acquisition, meant to be the centerpiece of a revived offense, marched with the entitled swagger of a man who believed he still ran the room. His body language was a textbook study in deflection, jaw clenched, shoulders hunched forward, fingers jabbing at the air. He was a storm cloud rolling toward what he perceived as open, vulnerable pasture. His target was Shadur Sanders, the first-round phenom, the son of a legend, the young man tasked with carrying the hopes of a desperate city on his shoulders for the last 11 grueling weeks. In Judy's mind, this was a simple equation. Veteran establishes dominance. Rookie acquiesces. Order is restored. He was about to learn how catastrophically he had miscalculated. The confrontation, captured in stark, telling detail by the omnipresent sideline cameras, lasted less than a minute. But in that minute, the entire hierarchy of the Cleveland Browns.
You know, stuff like that happens. You know, y'all gonna make it bigger than what it is. You know, because the media, you know, that's what y'all feed off of, negativity. You know, but it is what it is. This is the life we live. So, you know, we move on from it. And I live a real life. You know, so what happened around in this locker room, you know, this real. Not what's going on social media and everything. So, me and Shadur good. Everything good. Man, we great over here.
Its unspoken conflicts and deepest fissures was laid bare for the world to see. Jeudy barked, gesticulated, loomed. Sanders listened, his gaze steady, his posture relaxed, yet immovable. He offered no flinch, no step back, no raised voice in return. The spectacle was not in a shouting match, but in the profound, deafening silence of Sanders' response. And then it happened, the fleeting, telltale flicker in Judy's eyes, a moment of dawning realization, a crack in the angry facade. It was the instant he understood the ground had shifted beneath his feet. The intimidation tactic had failed utterly, bouncing off a composure so solid it felt like a physical wall. The regret that flashed across his face was instantaneous and illuminating, a silent admission that he had not only picked the wrong fight, but had fundamentally misjudged the man standing before him. In the aftermath, the public statements were the typical fare of damage control. Jeudy, when finally cornered by reporters, offered a dismissive, "You know, it's stuff like that happens. Y'all going to make it bigger than what it is." He spoke of real life and moving on, trying to diminish the event to a mere blip, a product of the media's hunger for negativity. Shadur, in his own post-game address, was the portrait of diplomatic professionalism. When asked about the now viral sideline moment, and the specific failed deep ball that preceded it, he spoke of chemistry, trust, and the need to get on the same page. He took accountability for timing, offered no blame, and provided his teammate a shield a leader's response. But the tapes told a different, more damning story. The All-22 film of the inciting incident, a deep shot in the second quarter, was a forensic study in divergent commitment. Sanders, under duress, had launched a beautiful, arcing ball that landed precisely where it needed to be on a go route. Jeudy, however, had not finished the play. His route tapered from a sprint into a jog, his arms never fully extended, his body never made the final competitive leap to high point the football. Every analyst who dissected the frame by frame came to the same conclusion. This was not a miss, this was a surrender. The effort or lack thereof belonged solely to the veteran receiver. Shadur had delivered a professional throw, Jeudy had offered an amateur's effort. This context transformed the sideline confrontation from a simple heated exchange into a profound revelation of character. Here was Sanders, who had just shouldered public blame for a play that was not his fault, facing the ire of the very man whose effort had doomed it. The irony was so thick it was suffocating. Jeudy's outburst was not the passion of a competitor. It was the flailing of a man embarrassed by his own failings, desperately trying to project his frustrations onto the nearest, most convenient target.
Judy out of here. It's not just the poor play. His attitude sucks.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys have seen the video. Obviously I can't hear them, but like it looks like he's kind of barking at Shadur and they're going over, and then Shadur comes out post game and he talks about how like it's about trust and they got to get on the same page, which obviously that'll come with more practice and more games played. But like, bro, this is a guy who's playing with only a couple weeks of practice. He's a rookie in his second start. Why don't you try to pick him up? Why don't you encourage him? Like, Justin Jefferson was picking, JJ McCarthy's awful. And you don't hear like Justin Jefferson talking shit on him. Like he's trying to pick him up. Like we got to play. And then there's just Jerry Judy. And Justin Jefferson, by the way, is good at football. Jerry Judy is bad at football. So like if you're going to maybe have a good attitude, if you're going to lead the league in drops 2 years in a row and just essentially never be open or do anything of any good on the football field for us this year, at least have a good positive attitude. Don't just get him out of here.
And Sanders, by refusing to engage in the theater of it, had masterfully held up a mirror. In that quiet, unwavering stance, he communicated a simple, devastating truth. I see you. And this won't work. To understand why Shadur Sanders could stand so unshakably in that moment is to understand the life that prepared him for it. He did not arrive in the NFL as a typical wide-eyed rookie. Shadur Sanders was born into the blinding, inescapable spotlight. As the son of Deion Sanders, a cultural and athletic icon, his every step from Pee Wee football to the pros has been chronicled, criticized, and celebrated under a microscope of immense pressure. At Jackson State and then Colorado, he wasn't just playing quarterback. He was shouldering the weight of his father's monumental legacy and the expectations of a national audience debating his every throw. He navigated transfer controversies, media frenzies, and the unique scrutiny of being Coach Prime's son, all while delivering Heisman-worthy performances. The noise around him was a constant roaring din. Jerry Judy's sideline barking wasn't pressure. It was a faint echo in a storm Shadur had long learned to tune out. Furthermore, his 11 weeks in Cleveland had been a brutal masterclass in NFL adversity. He was operating within an offensive system often criticized for its conservatism, a scheme that seemed to handcuff his natural aggressive instincts and deep ball prowess. He stood behind an offensive line patched together with duct tape and hope, routinely collapsing and leaving him to run for his life. He watched pass after pass slip through the hands of his receivers, or worse, turn into turnovers due to lapses in effort or concentration. Through it all, in every post-game press conference, Sanders was the one constant, poised, accountable, and relentlessly focused on improvement. He defended his coaches, praised his teammates, and absorbed the criticism directed at the offense as a whole. The mental toughness required to endure that gauntlet, both in his lifetime and in his rookie season, forged a resilience that no sideline tantrum could scratch. Jeudy, on the other hand, represented the frustrating opposite. His tenure in Cleveland was quickly crystallizing into a pattern of underwhelming performance and a troubling lack of accountability. The sideline incident was merely the public eruption of a private simmer. This was his second consecutive week in the center of a negative firestorm. The week prior, a critical fumble after a catch. A failure of situational awareness and ball security had already raised eyebrows. Now, this. A quit route followed by a public confrontation with the quarterback who tried to protect him. The pattern spoke of a player out of sync, not just with his quarterback, but with the fundamental demands of his profession. While Sanders was studying extra film and building chemistry, Jeudy's most visible contribution was a blaming finger pointed squarely at the one person who had his back. The fallout from the incident also shone a harsh and unforgiving light on the broader dysfunction within the Browns organization, particularly the role of head coach Kevin Stefanski. All season, Stefanski's play calling had been a source of puzzlement and frustration, a seemingly contradictory mix of extreme aggression at inopportune moments, ill-fated fourth down attempts deep in their own territory, and extreme caution when unleashing Sanders' arm could have changed games. This inconsistent philosophy consistently put the rookie in impossible positions, setting him up for failure behind a shaky line and with unreliable weapons. The post-game press conference following the Jeudy incident revealed the insidious nature of this dynamic. A reporter, in a clear attempt to bait the young quarterback, asked Sanders if he admired Stefanski's aggressive fourth down call that had just failed. It was a trap, plain and simple, an invitation for the rookie to throw his head coach under the bus on live television. Shadur's response was another moment of stunning maturity. First, he began, his tone even but firm, "That's a rude question to ask if I think it was a great call by my coach." He recognized the manipulation instantly, shut it down with courtesy and sharp intelligence, and again shouldered the burden, saying he loved to compete and would never blame the coaches. It was a masterclass in media navigation. Yet, the very fact that the question was directed at him and not at Stefanski was telling. The organizational structure seemed designed to insulate the decision makers and load the accountability onto the rookie. Stefanski's decisions, the risky calls, the conservative game plans, the apparent lack of discipline for effort-based failures like Jeudy's went routinely unquestioned in any meaningful way, while Sanders was left to diplomatically answer for them. The franchise was asking a 22-year-old to be its quarterback, its leader, and its human shield, all while giving him insufficient tools and protection to succeed.
Has to happen is he's got to develop some kind of trust and chemistry with Jerry Judy. We saw that they had the sideline confrontation, but these two guys have to get on the same page. They've got to get it together with each other. And I think what they need to do is spend extra time together this week. I think they need to just let go what happened the other day. We all know that stuff happens in the name of football. That stuff happens on football sidelines all the time, not always captured on camera. But those two guys need to get together this week. They need to text each other back and forth like Amari and Joe Flacco used to be doing all day long. Maybe they should watch some film together. I think that would be helpful. I think they need to talk and communicate. Jerry needs to talk about where he likes the ball placed. Shadur has such elite accuracy and good ball placement that if Jerry asks for something, Shadur can deliver that. So I think these guys just need to be very vocal about what they want and need from each other and try to make it work.
The Jeudy-Sanders clash, therefore, transcended a mere interpersonal dispute. It became a symbolic tableau for the state of the Cleveland Browns. On one side stood the high-priced veteran, a symbol of the old, failed ways, all flash, inconsistent effort, and a propensity for blame. On the other stood the rookie, representing a hopeful but beleaguered future, immense talent, preternatural poise, and a willingness to accept burdens that were not his to bear. The collision revealed which player was truly built for the foundation of a franchise and which was crumbling under the weight of his own contract. For the Browns, the path forward is now painfully clear. The incident is a wake-up call that cannot be ignored. The organization must make a conscious and decisive choice to build around Shadur Sanders, not just with him. This means critically evaluating the supporting cast. It means holding veterans like Jerry Judy to a standard of performance and professionalism that matches their salary. It means empowering coaches to design an offense that accentuates Sanders' strengths, not one that minimizes them out of fear. It means constructing an offensive line that provides not just protection, but confidence. And it means fostering a culture where accountability flows upward as well as down, where effort is non-negotiable, and where the quarterback's unwavering composure is met with an equally unwavering commitment from the entire organization. Jerry Judy walked up to Shadur Sanders expecting a confrontation. What he got was an education. He learned that true strength isn't announced with volume, but demonstrated with silence. He learned that leadership isn't bestowed by tenure or contract, but earned through action and accountability. And he learned in the most public way possible that when you attempt to intimidate a man forged in fire, the only person who ends up getting burned is you. The look of instant regret on his face wasn't just about a lost argument. It was the recognition that he had exposed a fundamental truth to the entire world. In Cleveland, the future is calm, it's steady, and it's standing right there, ready to lead if only the franchise is wise enough to finally follow.